afternoon session. And the first speaker in the afternoon session is Takafumi Maekawa, and his title was on the previous slide, which was down a bit. Seminumeral determiners and nouns in English.
Hello. So I'm talking about seminumerals, determiners, and nouns in English. So a singular countable noun in English is different from a plural noun or an uncountable noun because it requires a determiner to be grammatical. The noun pen in 1a is a singular countable noun, and it requires a determiner to combine with, and determiner satisfies this requirement. A plural countable noun cat in 1b and an uncountable noun wool in 1c don't require a determiner and can stand on their own. The examples in 2 show that when a determiner combines with a countable noun, they should agree in number. A countable noun book in 2 requires a determiner that agrees with it in number. A singular countable noun can't combine with a plural determiner, as 2b shows. Given these observations, we can make a generalization like 3. A singular countable noun in English requires determiner, and they should agree in number. In HPSG, it is often assumed that a determiner is a specifier of a head noun. In this assumption, a singular countable noun in English can be described as in 4. In 4, the value of agreement, which is described as AGR, the value of AGR, agreement feature, represents information about morphosyntactic properties of the expression. And in its value, the number, which is described as n, the number value represents information about the grammatical number, and its value SG, which stands for singular, says that this expression is morphosyntactically singular. The specifier feature shows that this expression has a specifier and indicates what kind of specifier it is. Thus, in this framework, the determiner requirement of a countable singular noun is encoded as a matter of valency. The property type 1 means that the specifier has the same agreement value as the head noun, and this represents determiner noun agreement. So overall, 4 states that a singular countable noun should have a specifier which agrees with it in number. So it captures the generalization in 3 and accounts for the ungrammatical NPs in 1a. Because 1a lacks a specifier, and 2a and 2b do not show determiner noun agreement. In this talk, I will follow Jakin of 1977 and call the numeral quantifiers such as dozen, hundred, thousand, billion, and million as semi-numerals. Now, I will show that the semi-numerals in English are subtypes of countable nouns. First, the singular form of these words requires a determiner. Number 5 shows 100 people, 1,000 people, and so on are ungrammatical without a determiner, and they need some sort of determiner to be grammatical. Second, the plural form of these words don't need a determiner. As number 6 shows, hundreds, thousands, and so on can have a determiner, but they can no problem without it. They are no problem without a determiner. These pieces of data show that the semi-numerals are very similar to countable nouns. So we can expect they conform to the generalization in 3, and we can also expect that they have much the same lexical properties as 4. But in this talk, I first showed that semi-numerals, especially those in NPs like 7, do not conform to generalization 3 and do not have the lexical properties like 4. Then I will show that HPSG can provide a fairly straightforward account of the data. let's move on to the second section. So let's see more clearly what sorts of problems the examples in 7 pose. But before that, let's have a look at the NPs in number 8. In these NPs, the seminumeral combines with the plural noun, and in these NPs, the determiner is obligatory. The head nouns teachers and women are plural nouns, so for them a determiner is not necessary. So we can say that the determiner is required by the seminumeral, not by the head noun. Given that a seminumeral is a subtype of a countable noun, we can expect that it shares important properties with the countable noun. As we saw, the countable noun has the properties shown in number 4, so seminumerals might be analyzed to have the properties in number 9. Number 9 is the same as number 4, except that in number 9, seminumeral modifies the plural noun via the mod feature. Now let's come back to number 7, which is repeated in number 10. So 10A is those 1,000 teachers, 10B is these 100 women. In these NPs, the only possible determiner that can satisfy the determiner requirement of the seminumeral is the one just before it. That is, those in 10A and these in 10B. Number 11 shows that they really satisfy the determiner requirement of the seminumeral. Without determiner, these phrases become ungrammatical. And now, there arise 2 problems. First, there is no number agreement between the determiner and the seminumeral. The seminumeral is singular, but the determiner is plural in number 10. And the second problem is that although the determiner satisfies the determiner requirement of the seminumeral, it looks as if the determiner agrees with the plural noun after the seminumeral. In 10A, it appears that those agrees with teachers, not 1,000, and in 10B, these agrees with women, not 100. So it is clear that the seminumerals in 10 don't have the properties in number 9. And we look at some possible HBSG analysis which might be proposed for the syntax of seminumerals. One possible analysis would be to propose that the specifier agrees with the plural noun that the seminumeral modifies, and it is shown in number 12. It might appear that 12 can capture the facts in 10 because it allows the plural determiner to agree with the head noun. So the agreement is represented by the tag 1. So in number 12, the specifier and the element modified by this seminumeral shares the same value for agreement feature. But examples in number 13 pose a problem. In number 13, the determiners are singular, but the head noun is plural. So they don't conform to number 12, because in number 13, there is no agreement between the head and the determiner. And another possible analysis in HBSG would be to propose that seminumerals are weak heads or transparent heads. Weak heads and transparent heads are the elements which preserve some important properties of their complement onto the phrase. The data in number 7, like those 1,000 teachers which are repeated in number 10, can be accounted for if we assume that seminumerals are such elements, transparent heads or weak heads, and preserve the grammatical number of the complement and pass it onto the phrasal level so that the phrase can combine with the plural determiner. But the examples in number 13 pose a problem for analysis along these lines too. In number 13, the seminumeral has a singular determiner, like that £1,000, this 100 houses, the determiner is singular. The semi-numeral inherits the plural number from its complement, pounds and houses, and passes it to the phrase. The phrase is plural in number now, so it can't combine with the singular determiner. So this kind of analysis predicts that the data in number 13 are ungrammatical. So let's move on to the third type of analysis, which I think provides a fairly satisfactory account of the data, which is in section 4. In this analysis, determiners and seminumerals are functors, that is, non-heads which select the head. Before going to the proposal, let's see how generalization number 3 is captured in this approach. Well, combination of a determiner and a head nominal is a head functor phrase, which is subject to the constraint in number 14. Number 14 states that in the phrase of type head functor phrase, the non-head daughter selects the head daughter, and the marking value of the mother is identical to the head daughter. Here, the information about selection is indicated by the select feature of the non-head. Select is indicated by SEL, cell. And the cell feature represents the constraints which a non-head daughter imposes on the head daughter. The marking feature, which is indicated as MRK, the marking feature indicates whether the expression involves a determiner or numeral, or whether it can stand alone without these elements. Now, let's have a look at an example of a head functor phrase. Number 15. Number 15 shows how functor this determiner this combines with a singular countable noun. The marking value of pen is incomplete, which means that the word is incomplete on its own, and it requires some sort of determiner. The determiner this combines with pen to form a head functor phrase, in which, according to the constraint in number 14, this selects the head now, and the value of marking is inherited to the mother node. The agreement value, tagged as 4, shared between this and pen indicates determiner noun agreement between them. This is how a determiner combines with a singular countable noun, and in this analysis, the generalization we saw in number 3 is captured in terms of 2 separate specifications. The one is the determiner requirement of a singular countable noun is represented by the incomplete value of the marking feature of the head nominal. The second one is the determiner noun agreement is represented by the shared value of agreement feature between the determiner and the head noun. So this analysis is in clear contrast with the standard HPSG treatment given in number 4, where the determiner requirement and the determiner noun agreement are both represented in the specifier specifications of the head noun. In the head functor analysis given in number 15, on the other hand, the determiner requirement and the determiner noun agreement is dissociated from each other. And I will argue that this is a very important point. Now, let's move on to the section 5. Now, I propose that seminumerals have the syntactic properties like 16. The agreement value indicates that a seminumeral itself is singular, but cell value, the select value, indicates that it selects a plural noun. The marking feature has incomplete as its value, which means that this word is incomplete on its own, requiring a determiner. My syntactic analysis of those 1,000 teachers is given in number 17. Here, 1,000 is a functor, and it selects teachers, and the marking value of 1,000 is inherited to the mother node. The marking value of 1000 is incomplete, which means it requires a determiner. The PL value, PL stands for plural. The plural value of number is inherited from teachers via the head feature, which enables this phrase to combine with the plural determiner. So what is important here is that the determiner requirement of the singular seminumeral is fully satisfied by the plural determiner. Agreement mismatch doesn't occur here because the determiner and seminumeral don't have a determiner-head relation. The determiner has an agreement relation with the plural noun teachers, not with the seminumeral. Well, in other languages like Slavic, it is often argued that the head of the quantified NPs is the numeral, but in this analysis of the English NP, the head is the noun, and it accounts for the plural agreement with the verb. Number 18 shows the verb agrees with the number of the head noun. So in 18a, the verb becomes agrees with things. In 18b, the verb have agrees with pages. In 18c, the verb have agrees with men. So if we assume that the subject-verb agreement depends on the number of the head noun, in 18, in the noun phrases in 18, the head noun is the one in the rightmost position. Well, my factor analysis of semi-numerals can give an account of the variance in number 13 as well, and they are repeated in 19. Here, the semi-numeral takes a singular determiner, and 20 is a structure for this 100 houses. In this structure, the semi-numeral combines with the determiner as a head functor phrase. In this case, the determiner should be a singular because the head daughter 100 is singular. The select value of 100 is inherited to the mother node via the head feature. The resulting phrase, this 100 combines with the head noun, houses, to form another head functor phrase. Again, the noun is the head of the whole phrase, and it accounts for the subject-verb agreement. Number 21 shows this 100 women takes a plural verb. So in number 21, let's see what these 100 women make of the question. So this 100 women is a subject and make is a verb. So there is a subject-verb agreement in plural because the head is women. Also, I would suggest that the NPs in 22 have much the same structure as this. In 22, the determiners are and every, like a dozen men and every 1,000 people. Determiners are and every. And they first combine with the seminumeral, which is singular, and then combine with the head noun. And the verb agrees with the head noun. So in 22, the verbs are move and have, and they agree with the head noun, men and people, respectively. So this is my analysis of semi-numerals, and let's have a look at further data in section 6. And the syntactic behavior of semi-numerals we have seen so far is very similar to the type of NPs in 23. In NPs in 23, the nouns sort, kind, and type are singular countable nouns. And so, they are singular countable nouns, and they have a determinant requirement because they are singular and countable. And the determiner requirement of these words is satisfied by the plural determiner, and the determiner agrees with the noun following of. So in 23A, these sort of skills, sort is a singular countable noun, and the determiner requirement is satisfied by this. But this agrees with skills. This behavior is very similar to the seminumerals. So I would suggest that the analysis of seminumerals can be applied to 23 too. And another similarity is that, as 24 shows, this construction causes plural agreement with the verb, because the head of the whole construction is a plural noun after all. In 24, those sort of causes takes are, not is, as a verb, because the verb agrees with the plural noun causes. So in 24, those sort of causes are very heavily subscribed, and also these sort of problems are very hard to solve. So there is an agreement between causes and are, problems and are. Well, for details of this construction, please have a look at my paper in the proceedings of the last year's HBSG conference. Right. I've given an analysis of the relation between seminumerals, determiners, and nouns in English, but there are still some remaining issues. One issue is spurious ambiguity that structures like 26 have. In 26, the determiner is the, and it can be either singular or plural. So number 26, the 100 people, the can be singular and plural. So 26 has two analyses corresponding to 17 and 20 we have seen so far. In structures like 17, the seminumeral first combines with the head noun, so 100 people combines first, and then the resulting phrase combines with the determiner, the. And in structures like 20, the seminumeral first combines with the determiner, so the combines with 100 first and then with people. So the determiner the can occur in both of the structures. So it is kind of ambiguous, but at the moment it is not clear what kind of consequence this ambiguity has. And the second issue is how this analysis can be applied to complex numerals like 27 to 1,000 students. Especially interesting about this kind of construction is that, as 27b shows, 1,000 can't be thousands, even though there is 2 before that. So you can't say 2,000, you should say 2,000. 1,000 should be singular. Another issue is how this analysis can be applied to similar constructions in Slavic languages. In Polish, for example, numerals show very interesting behavior in case and number. In the subject NB in 28, the numeral is accusative, and the noun is genitive, and the determiner can be either accusative or genitive. And the verb is third singular neutral. And there has already been a very interesting HBSG work on this issue by Szepurkowski and so on. But I have to leave how my analysis can be read to the Slavic constructions like this for future research. So, conclusion. In HBSG, it's been normally assumed that the specifier feature represents the information about the determiner requirement of a singular countable noun and determiner noun agreement. But in the functor analysis, which I've assumed, determiner noun agreement and the determiner requirement are dissociated from each other. Determiner noun agreement is represented as part of constraints which the determiner imposes on the head daughter, and the determiner requirement is encoded as incomplete value of the marking feature of the head daughter. This enables the plural determiner to satisfy the determiner requirement of a singular seminumeral, while agreeing with the plural head noun in examples like those 1,000 teachers. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, plenty of time for questions.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, I like the analysis. I can add to it that not only semi-numerals, but also normal numerals can give you evidence for the kind of analysis that you proposed. Take a combination like every 4 years we have an Olympics. I mean, every cannot combine with years because every requires something singular, and 4 could be a singular countdown there. So. Yeah, so you might extend it.
Yes. But the interesting thing about it is that the normal numerals don't have R before that. So you say 100, but R2 is very bad. So there is still a very important differences between the two kinds. Yeah, but it's very important.
Okay, so that was my goal.
Hi, thank you. A couple of comments. The first is that you do get a different adjective order with these constructions. So you can say things like, that wonderful 7 days, 100 days that we spent in Miami. And that's not the normal order that you would get with a numeral and an adjective. And I wonder whether this analysis actually captures that.
Well, actually, I gave a talk about that kind of construction in Berlin, 2012, I think. I'm wondering if that analysis is correct or not, but if you are interested, please have a look at it. Well, I gave a rather similar analysis as this one.
Okay, and a second point, another bit of data which I think is relevant here, and that is the behavior of measure genitives. Because you can say things like a day's walk in the country, but days has to have there, but you can also have things like that day's walk in the country without the so it's a similar phenomenon, but this time with normal measure nouns.
Okay, thank you very much.
I just want to say I like this analysis very much, and I think it goes some way towards accounting for Islamic data as well. At least that's my first impression. I wanted to also support what Frank said, that it's not only a matter of these semi-numerals, because actually the pattern that you can see in 28, that applies equally well to, the Polish pattern, right? That applies equally well to ordinary numerals, right? So ordinary numerals behave the same way. It's not just, 1,000 million, etc. In fact, semi-numerals in Polish behave differently than numerals because they add more pattern apart from what you can see in 28. So there's good evidence that apart from behaving like numerals, that's what you see in 28, they alternatively act as nouns, singular nouns. And in that case, you really can prove that they are singular nouns, not only because they agree in singular with adjectives, but also they agree with verbs in the singular, right? So two things. The pattern in 28 that's like numerals, ordinary numerals, and your analysis I think goes some way into accounting for that. And Polish semi-numerals are even more complex than English semi-numerals. Right?
Okay, I'll think about it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think this question of variation of these patterns over different languages is interesting. So languages like French and Italian would have a very different word. So in French you have centaine in the sense of hundreds, dizaine, in Italian centinaio, and so on. So some languages you're going to have to say, I think, aren't you, that there's a numeral and what you might call the semi-numeral that are homophonous. Is that what you would say?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Would you say in a language like, say, Italian or French, where you have cento for 100 and centinaio for the hundreds, centinaia di persone or something like that, are you going to say that means that there's two distinct items, the 100-word and the semi-numeral, and then does that have an implication for the way you deal with English?
Sorry, did you say in those languages the noun following the numeral is in genitive? Did you say genitive?
No. It's just a question about it. It's like in English, you've got dozen and 12, and you haven't got that difference. And I haven't completely understood what it means for the word 100. Are there two words 100, or are there, or is there one word 100 which is?
Well, I'm assuming there are two words 100. Yeah.
I see no other questions, so we should thank our speakers.